Sea Otter Classic, day 2, 2024. I'm gonna do a couple things today. I'm gonna test ride L-Twoo's very inexpensive EGR group, an electronic hydraulic gravel group set from the Chinese company. I'm gonna ride the world's first, wink wink, gravel suspension fork from Cane Creek. Then I'm gonna see what else is new here that I missed yesterday. Let's go take a ride through the Sea Otter Classic. Pardon me? Yeah.
Hey, what's happening?
How are you? Brian, you got your head on backwards.
Oh, is it? It is on backwards.
Well, it's either your helmet or it's your head. I'm not sure which is which. The smoking at Jort. What you guys smoking in here? Here in Hunt Booth, we've got the Magdalene I saw down in its home of Colombia. Now here, Sea Otter. In addition to the SRAM build, you've got a little Kogo bling on the back, but the detail, of course, is the fine details that Alejandro, the creative director at Scarab, wove into the design based on a ride he did down along and around the Magdalena River in Colombia. At Hunt's 48 Limitless at home, been riding that well over a year. I'm long overdue on a long-term review on that wheel, and now I've been sleeping, and there's the new is here at Hunt. We're gonna get the walk down on what's going on with the latest and greatest Aero road wheels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass you my fancy mic.
Beautiful. So these wheels are essentially the second iteration of the 48 Limitless. When we launched the 48 Limitless in 2019, they were kind of the first, I would say, the first aerodynamic wheel set built around disc brakes. So you no longer had to take rim brake calipers in mind, and we wanted to go as wide, as U-shaped of a rim profile as we could, so that would boast aerodynamic and crosswind stability. In the 4 years since that wheel launched, just carbon layup technology has improved, and just our understanding of its crosswind stability and just all of that has been more refined thanks to the use and implementation of newer technologies like more CFD testing, being able to 3D print and scan samples to reduce the kind of R&D time. And so we settled for the second iteration with 49.5 millimeter deep rim, aka sub 50, and not asymmetric, but two different rim profiles. So the front is a 34.2 millimeter wide rim, and the rear, because it's dealing with less of those, like the clean air that's hitting your bike, we went with a narrower, more traditional rim profile. Still U-shaped, but less exaggerated as that front rim that you'll see. And that has led to just equal to greater speed and aerodynamics compared to the 48 Limitless. I believe, and I don't want to completely misspeak here, but I believe it was close to a 4-watt difference between the 48 Limitless and these new sub 50 Limitless when tested on a 28 mil tire.
How about prices? We're looking at 1,300 grams for the set. What's the price point?
Yeah, so the 1380 grams is for the UD carbon spoke wheel set with our standard stainless steel bearings. That would come out to about 2,200 US. The steel spoke version of this wheel set will be just about 1,900.
Bridge made waves the show last year. Carbon bike from Canada. The notable thing is what you can't see, which is carbon threads for the bottom bracket. You can't see the beautiful bike wheel though. These are 35 mil tires that certainly aren't bulging over either side of these fat new Hunt rims.
So, this spring we saw our release of our Solix SL and our Solix G road and gravel wheels. Solix SL is our road race performance gravel kind of go fast line. Solix G is intended for adventure gravel, lighter weight bike packing applications, or for riders that are, taking advantage of, kind of gravel technology that's emerging, like suspension forks or dropper posts.
Give us some widths here. This looks
Yeah.
good and wide. What are we looking at?
Yeah, so that's our Solix SL AR40. So that is a 25 mil inner width. So yeah, so that's designed to really be optimized for tires as narrow as 28, but the sweet spot for that one is going to be more like 30 to 32.
How about weights and pricing for this guy?
Yeah, weights on this one, if I'm not mistaken, are going to be right around $1,450, and prices are about $2,300 for the pair.
Everybody's got a hub story. What's yours?
Yeah, ours is fast engagement. We believe that fast engagement helps riders out in any situation, from mountain bike to even road and gravel application. And the story on this one is our Solix hub set right here. So this is a 5-pawl individually phased mechanism that offers a rider 605 points of engagement. So allows you to freewheel, but a really locked in, positive, confident experience when you are pedaling on this one.
And that comes on all the new wheels?
That's all of our new road wheels, gravel wheels, and our lightweight 24-hole mountain bike wheels. So our XC wheels and our trail downcountry wheels all use this new Solix free hub mechanism.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Just took a quick spin on this L-Twoo EGR. Don't call it GRX, it's EGR. Yeah, it works. It's not the finest, high-end gear, but if you could get a electronic shifting gravel bike in the $1,500, $1,600 range, that's pretty compelling. Obviously, I have no idea about the long-term durability of the stuff, but I'm interested to see where this will pop up. There's a number of folks from some large sporting goods stores here at Sea Otter talking to the gents at L-Twoo, so yeah, keep an eye on where this goes, and where it will certainly show up is in the sub $2,000 range, which again, for an electronic shifting hydraulic brake bike is notable for the price. You're familiar with Shimano, you're familiar with SRAM. You might not be familiar with microShift, but it comes on a number of bikes. Might see some Cannondale at REI is a place you might find microShift. Got a couple new sword gravel groups, 1x and a 2x.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And what's the latest and greatest, and what's the price on this, sir?
Awesome. So for the 2x groups without the crank set, you're looking at about $360, and for the 1x, you're looking at $299. What's cool about it is it's compatible with our Advent X group as well, so some people have seen that. So this actually is the Advent X 1148 cassette with the new sword derailleur. It has a clutch built in right here, a little switch going off and coming back on. Nice hidden clutch. And then what's really neat is we have internal cable routing. People have used the Advent X group, and now everything is under the bar tape. Yeah.
And then aside from having a front derailleur, is there any differences to the 2x group?
So what's cool about the 2x group is with the crank, 17-tooth difference between the big ring and the small ring. So it comes with a 48-31 and a 46-29. And then the huge thing for me as an old mechanic, there's actually you can run full cable housing all the way to the front derailleur, and there's a third adjustment screw here, and that actually is a barrel adjuster. So you don't have to use an inline adjuster anymore, so it makes setup way easier. You just use a 3mm Allen wrench, dial it in, dial it out, and that'll actually adjust your front cable tension.
You can walk us through how the shift levers work?
Yeah, so the longer one pulls cable. So for this as being the left one, this will go to your big ring. This will drop to the small ring, and then the opposite for the back. And another great feature to give you nice low gearing is we have a 10-speed 1138 cassette. So a little bit gearing that's not really out there. So you get a nice low with, especially with the 2938, super low gearing for those long days.
And start pricing one more time for the 1 and 2x groups.
So for the 2x, you're looking at about $360, and then $299 for the 1x.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good, thank you.
Well, isn't this cute? No, really, it is cute. Kyoot's brand out of Austin, Texas, with a different spin on the bike. Oh, excuse me. Sava Dreammaker 5K for Shimano 105.
So yeah, the way it basically mounts together is you have essentially two bolts on the inside here.
Okay.
Your handlebars become your compression cap for your headset.
Yep.
And then we have two little pinch bolts just tucked in the side here on both sides to just make sure everything's nice and secure. Now my favorite part about it though is there's no more issues of aligning your handlebars.
Right.
There's no riding and being like,
Right.
oh, it's a little bit to the left, and then you go home and you try and adjust it, and then it's a little bit to the right the next time.
Van Rysel's continuing its push into the U.S. market. The Riverside is a bike I tested. There's some positives to it, some negatives to it. You can check out that review above. Right now it's a $4,000 bike with SRAM rival. A couple of notable bikes I'm seeing here. One with a full titanium bike for $4,000 for the whole bike. You know, often you'll see a titanium frame set, 4K for a frame set. We're looking at a GRX build here, tie frame, carbon fork. Not the tippy top end like a high zoot Moots or a high zoot Mosaic. That's not what this brand is about. They're going for more of a value, more bang for the buck. And then you got a GCR Force bike here, a little bit higher on the scale for $5,700. The SRAM Force build.
Steve Domahity with Viral Bikes. I am largely known for co-founding Niner Bikes back in the day. I've done a bunch of consulting since then. Did some stuff with Factor and Faraday and Argonaut cycles for the last 4 years. But I'm here with my brand new Wanderer. This is the drop bar, pinion gearbox, all-road, drop bar mountain bike, basically. It's funny because it's old school. This is like what mountain bikes were back in the early 90s, right? Like the Giant, and I think John Tomac used to race one that has drop bar, mountain bike, right? But the pinion gearbox and the electric shifters with the smart shift is the whole new thing. TRP has this high wire system that mates to the pinion gearbox, which is a 12-speed gearbox internal with a 600% range. So this is my new rig, decoupled in the back with some passive suspension, built around 29-inch wheels, 2.4-inch tire clearance, and ready to go.
Many saddles,
Yes, sir.
go on the premise that the sit bones should be supported.
Yes.
Infinity takes a different perspective. What is that perspective, and what is your saddle, sir?
Well, it's saddle by definition means to straddle. Seat means to sit in. So we no longer are sitting on our bones, we're sitting with the seat, and so I believe having a convex surface of our butt bones shouldn't meet a convex surface of a saddle. So we have either a complete open area so we don't have any pressure on the convex surface, which allows some of the other seats that have a full leather to be more of a concave to match up with the convex.
You show us the saddle and the sit bones and explain what we're looking at, talking about.
Traditionally, you're going to have the issue tuberosities, so you have a convex surface here as you have a convex surface of the seat. So most people will go ahead, sit in the backside, the nice widest, because they're always seeing what the width of your pelvis is and what width you should have. And so after a period of time, we begin to slide forth on the seat, back and forth, trying to go ahead, and that's why they put a gully in there, trying to take pressure off the perineum. So with our seat now, you're going to go ahead and see this complete opening of how things are communicating. Whoop, let me just get this way. We'll make it a little bit easier for you. So as we start to look, now you can see there's no pressure onto the butt bones or the pubic rami as on a traditional saddle. Plus, our saddle is going to go ahead, load with a body rider, which is going to go ahead and be 100 pounds or 300 pounds, and at the bottom of the stroke, it's going to slightly flex, so there's no dead point at the bottom of the stroke, causing less chafing.
Now, doesn't this create pressure points in just a different area?
You would think so, but what we found out when we first started off is that with the seat slightly flexing, there's no dead spot, there's no stop point. So with that, it's moving with your body versus having a complete stop, which would then cause more pressure right where you were talking about.
Thank you, sir.
All righty.
Then it was time to ride the Cane Creek Invert fork. There are two models, a 30mm without a lockout and a 40mm version with a lockout. I rode the 30. It's a very simple system, an air-sprung fork with no damper. You just set the air pressure to match your weight, which Cane Creek did for me. Pedaling on pavement away from the venue, it felt a bit like a louf fork. Riding the saddle felt normal, and even climbing out of the saddle felt fine. I had to really exaggerate my movements to get it to bob. I hopped onto the closest trail, part of which I rode last year for the gravel race, where I was happy to have a Fox suspension fork on my test gravel bike. Here, the invert started to come into its own, smoothing out the little bumps both up and down hills. But on some choppier trail, I bottomed out the fork so hard it made a sharp noise that made me think I had broke something. Turns out you can tune the fork a bit to combat this. The fork comes with a single spacer inside the air spring, and you can add up to 2 more to add more support. Cane Creek says the single spacer gives the stock setting a fair amount of progression to give enough bottom-out support to what they imagine the quote-unquote average rider to be. Adding in more spacers ramps up the spring rate to prevent bottoming out, but also can reduce the amount of usable travel you have in less aggressive settings. In any event, I hope to get an invert test fork at home soon, so stay tuned for more.
The lovely 17-mile drive is a staple of the Sea Otter experience. Many of us like to get out here, sneak out before the show starts, and get our fix on the bike, riding through the majestic old trees right next to the ocean. Here's some folks taking advantage. Hey, oh, wait, what are you doing? What are you doing? David Arthur, can't get rid of that guy, he's everywhere. Phelps Breed Carbon has been my steed this week. It's got a polymer sleeve here, so you can run, a standard 27-2 post or a wider dropper post. This may add a wee bit of vibration absorption. Could just be the carbon post doing the work. Notably, this guy, despite its, racier looks, can take up to a 50 mil tire. Haven't been doing any gravel on it. I'm just tooling around and enjoying the paved roads on it this week. New out this week from Trek and Bontrager is the CarBack, a rear light radar going head to head with the Garmin Varia. Same price, $199. Claimed radar range on this is 240 meters to Garmin's 140 meters, and the light is visible to a claimed 2K versus Garmin's 1.6 kilometers. Size, it's a little bit different. It's a little more compact, shorter, but thicker and a little bit wider. Works with a variety of different posts, and it's got a little rubber band strap. Easy enough to pair to the Garmin head unit. Also works with Wahoo and presumably Hammerhead. The readout on the screen looks the same as other radars you may be familiar with, and that'll turn red when there's cars approaching, and you can see little dots coming up behind you, and then you can turn the noise off or on. I was unable to figure out how to turn the light off on the radar, so when we did the ride down the coast from San Francisco here to Monterey, I didn't use it just because I didn't want to blind the riding companions behind me, but riding by myself out here, it's nice to have that added peace of mind. So that's the Trek CarBack, $199. So that's a wrap for me, Sea Otter Classic 2024. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Got questions, put them down below. I will do my best to answer them. Next up for me is riding across Portugal, north to south, in 3 days. I've got the engines of Lawrence Tyndam and Ted King to sit behind. We'll see how that goes. I'm doing that with Ngamba, so tune in for that next week. See you guys there.